Why do billionaires fear universal basic income? The concept of universal basic income, or UBI, promises to revolutionize the way we think about work, poverty, and social safety nets. By providing a guaranteed income to every citizen, regardless of employment status, it aims to eliminate poverty and reduce inequality. Sounds like a no-brainer, right? Yet billionaires and corporate elites often push back hard against the idea. But why? What is it about UBI that threatens their power, wealth, and influence? Let's start with what UBI is and why it's such a revolutionary idea. At its core, UBI is a fixed amount of money paid regularly to all citizens, regardless of their income or employment. Think of it as a safety net, ensuring that everyone has the resources to cover basic needs like food, shelter, and healthcare. This isn't just about economics, it's about dignity. In countries where UBI has been piloted, the results have often been promising. For example, Namibia's basic income grant reduced household poverty by over 30% and boosted school attendance rates. In India, a UBI pilot led to improved nutrition, increased savings, and even a rise in small business startups. Proponents argue that UBI could empower individuals to focus on education, entrepreneurship, or creative endeavors without the constant pressure of financial survival. So, why does this idea face so much opposition from the wealthiest among us? One reason billionaires fear UBI is its potential to disrupt the labor market. By guaranteeing a baseline income, UBI could reduce people's reliance on low-wage jobs. Employers might find it harder to exploit workers when they have the financial freedom to say no to unfair wages or working conditions. Imagine a world where workers no longer have to accept minimum wage just to survive. This could force corporations to increase wages, improve benefits, or even rethink how they treat their employees. In industries like fast food, retail, and agriculture, sectors that rely heavily on low-wage labor, the impact could be seismic. Billionaires whose fortunes depend on keeping labor costs low would see their profit margins shrink. But is this a reason to resist UBI, or a call to rethink how we value labor? Another fear is taxation. Implementing UBI would require significant government funding, and one obvious source is taxing the ultra-wealthy. Billionaires have spent decades lobbying for tax loopholes and lower rates, allowing them to accumulate massive wealth while contributing relatively little to public resources. UBI could reverse this trend with calls for wealth taxes, higher corporate taxes, or financial transaction levies to fund the program. For instance, a proposal like Senator Elizabeth Warren's wealth tax, 2% annually on fortunes over $50 million, could generate hundreds of billions of dollars, more than enough to fund UBI in the United States. However, billionaires argue that such taxes would stifle innovation and entrepreneurship. But how much of their opposition is rooted in economic concerns, and how much is about preserving their power and influence? The psychological aspect of UBI also plays a significant role. For many billionaires, their wealth isn't just a number. It's a measure of their success, intelligence, and influence. UBI challenges this narrative by asserting that everyone deserves a baseline level of dignity and opportunity, regardless of their economic productivity. In a world with UBI, the gap between the ultra-rich and the average citizen might shrink, not just in monetary terms, but in societal value. Billionaires thrive in systems that glorify wealth and equate it with worth. UBI disrupts this paradigm by decoupling survival from labor and productivity. Could this be why the wealthy cling so tightly to systems that reinforce their exceptionalism? Automation adds another layer to the UBI debate. Machines and artificial intelligence are replacing human labor at an unprecedented rate, from self-checkout machines in retail stores to advanced AI systems in manufacturing and logistics. Experts predict that automation could displace up to 45% of current jobs within the next 2 decades. UBI could provide a solution to this looming crisis, ensuring that people can survive and thrive in an economy where traditional jobs are scarce. But for billionaires, automation represents an opportunity to maximize profits by cutting labor costs. By introducing UBI, governments would be forcing corporations to essentially pay back some of the profits they've gained from replacing human workers. Could UBI be the only way to prevent mass unrest in a world dominated by automation? Or will billionaires continue to profit from the very systems that displace workers? Critics of UBI, including some billionaires, often argue that it could lead to laziness or a lack of ambition. They paint a picture of people living off government checks, contributing nothing to society. But this narrative doesn't hold up when you look at the data. Studies from pilot programs tell a very different story. In Finland, recipients of a UBI experiment reported improved mental health, reduced stress, and greater motivation to pursue meaningful work. Similarly, Stockton, California's UBI trial showed that recipients spent their money responsibly, investing in necessities like groceries, healthcare, and education. These findings suggest that far from creating a culture of laziness, UBI could empower individuals to contribute more effectively to society. Why then does this myth persist among those with the most to lose? Control is another reason billionaires fear UBI. Wealthy elites often view poverty as a tool for maintaining the status quo. When people are financially desperate, they're easier to exploit, less likely to demand change, and more willing to accept unjust systems. UBI threatens to disrupt this dynamic by giving individuals the resources to challenge inequality and pursue their dreams. In a society where everyone has a safety net, people might be less willing to tolerate low wages, predatory loans, or exploitative practices. Could it be the billionaires fear UBI, not because it won't work, but because it will? Finally, there's the issue of power dynamics. Billionaires often shape policy through donations, lobbying, and media ownership, ensuring that governments prioritize their interests. UBI shifts the focus back to ordinary people, redistributing resources and influence in a way that threatens the elite's dominance. Imagine a world where governments answer not to billionaires, but to citizens empowered by financial stability. How do billionaires maintain their control in a world where wealth is less concentrated and power is more democratized? Ultimately, the debate over UBI isn't just about economics. It's about values. It's a question of whether we believe in a society that prioritizes profit or one that prioritizes people. Billionaires fear UBI because it challenges the systems that allowed them to amass their fortunes in the first place. But for millions of people, UBI represents hope, a chance to break free from cycles of poverty, inequality, and exploitation. The real question is, will society choose to side with billionaires or with the people? If this video made you think about the future of work, wealth, and society, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Your support helps uncover the stories they don't want you to know.